Welcome to Prison Professors. Today, I am enthusiastic to introduce you to my new friend, Victor Sauceda. Victor, welcome to our program.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for having me, Michael. Pleasure.
You can't be shy because you know a lot about this program, and we're going to hear about your background and what you know about it and what you're doing now. One of the things that we always strive to do is help people who are living in jail and prison see some relationship between the decisions they're making today and their prospects for success when they come home. And I think it's really helpful for them to see people who went through a program like this while they were incarcerated and how it influenced their adjustment and what opportunities opened for them when they came home. So could you give our audience a bit of a background on how you and I are even in contact?
Yeah, so I committed a criminal offense back in 2012 that cost me a 10-year sentence in prison. I knew I didn't want to go back to prison, but didn't know how I was going to stay out. I was fortunate enough to come across Michael Santos' program inside the prison called The Straight A Guide. Also read Earning Freedom, another great book. If you have a chance to read it, highly recommend it. But yeah, so it was around that time where I really started thinking about transformation and how it was going to change my life. And I really liked just Michael's grit and just determination to succeed, to prevail. He already knew he was going to succeed upon release. And those individuals like this that inspired me, the people that were coming back into the prisons that were giving me hope, knowing that I was going to make it out there and have a chance. There was a lot of self-doubt. There were people that help me overcome that stuff. But, you know, I'm thankful for those opportunities because ultimately it makes me the person I am today. I did release after serving a 10-year sentence in 2019. I did learn how to code while I was incarcerated. I didn't have any professional experience prior to prison. I was, just running the streets and staying involved with like criminal activities. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. So really thankful that I picked up coding while I was incarcerated because it ultimately changed my life. I found something that I like doing, something that helped me solve problems and use my mind a little differently. So upon release, I worked at Mod Peak. So that was my first job when I got out. I just needed to make an honest living, right? I was attending a coding boot camp called Unloop. To kind of further develop my coding skills. Eventually, I landed my first job working at an email marketing, or a tech consulting company running an email marketing campaign. And honestly, I got that job through a workout organization. The dude was working out with me. He heard my story. I told him about my background. He's like, dude, you're awesome. Like, I'm going to give you a chance. So he gave me a 6-month internship, really grateful for the experience. And then the next opportunity that came my way.
Go back to that email marketing business. You said it was a paid internship. How much did they pay for that internship?
I think it was like $25 an hour.
So that was a really good wage.
Yeah, no, it was good. And it was just a bunch of learning opportunities for me. I was exposed to a different part. So they did a lot more of like the recruiting side and trying to make these negotiations between companies. So that was an awesome experience just to kind of have and be able to experience.
I want before you go on, I just want to give a little bit of insight for people that are inside of jail and prison that are going through our courses, because one of the things that I really emphasize in all of the Prison Professors courses is the importance of developing good writing skills, good communication skills, verbal and written, thinking skills, critical thinking skills. If somebody is going to come home and find a job in the email space, you've got to be able to connect with people with words and sentences and paragraphs in a really quick amount of time. So that's something that anybody could be preparing for while they're incarcerated. That's why I put so much emphasis on developing a vocabulary or learning how to write coherent sentences, because that's really a prerequisite to succeed in this era of technology. But if you can do it well, your criminal background doesn't matter. What does matter is you can get people to open those emails. And that requires good English skills. So keep going.
No, definitely true. So yeah, no, it was overall a great experience over there. Thankful for the internship, and then willing to take a chance on individuals that do have a criminal background. So that was awesome. My next role was at Code for America. I developed a resource application for formerly incarcerated individuals in Santa Barbara County. It was a great opportunity because not only was I able to continue to develop my skills in coding, but give back to my community. If there was ever a perfect job description, this was it. I honestly felt so attached to it. It was like my little baby, and I felt like it was a purpose-driven application. I seen the benefit that it was giving to the community, and really appreciate Code for America because they have what is considered a human-centered design approach, where they keep the humans at the center of the design. And these are formerly incarcerated people that we're developing the application for. So what better people to develop the application than people that are formerly incarcerated? So really thankful that they did have me on the team. It was a better conversation when you have somebody. We did user research interviews where we would interview people that are going through the reentry process. But who better to have in those conversations than somebody that does have lived experience, somebody that has been system impacted. It's a more organic conversation because you're able to relate to the individual sitting across the screen or the table. So I thought that was really awesome that, Code for America was able to unveil that. Now I see the benefit and the impact that technology can have in our communities. But it was an awesome experience. I thought I was going to be a coder, just coding the whole time, developing these resource applications, but it was way more than that. I did marketing. I hosted two events to kind of launch the application, which was awesome. User research. I did video editing. These were all skills I never knew I had, but provided the opportunity, they just came out naturally.
So a quick question on Coding for America. Do you know the background of that? Is it a nonprofit? And if it is a nonprofit, Could you give us a little history on it?
Yeah, so Code for America is a national organization. They help out governments leverage technology to make their processes more efficient. So they do things like tax benefits, clear my record, food stamps. They make those more accessible by leveraging technology. So anytime they could partner with a government agency to kind of leverage technology in that space, they'll build the application around that. And I was just working on a formerly incarcerated application for Santa Barbara County.
Do you know if the founders of Code for America are they justice impacted people as well, or are they just philanthropists?
I think they're philanthropists. They're not. It's not a formerly. I think I was the only formerly incarcerated individual working at Code for America at that time. But
could you tell us how you? Could you tell us how you came into contact with Code for America and how you persuaded them that you're the right guy for the job?
Yeah, so it was kind of crazy, actually. So Unloop was the coding boot camp that I mentioned I went to when I was released. And they sent me a job application and said, hey, there's a deadline on this. Like, it was literally the day before. And I was just like, okay, like I just, submitted the resume, drew up a quick cover letter and sent it out. And I ended up finding out after the first round of interviews with them that there was over 70 applicants applying for the fellowship role. So I was just like, man, my chances of getting this are pretty slim. I have a criminal background, Hispanic, fresh into the tech industry. Like, there's a very low chance that I get this. But I continued on with the process and made it down to accept the role. And what ultimately I thought made me stand out as a candidate was my lived experience. This was the only time where I could say that my criminal background was actually an asset in getting this role, because they were looking for people with lived experience to better serve the population that is developing this application for. So they seen the community work that I was involved in since my release and thought that I was probably one of the better candidates. So like I said, this was a really good job description for me.
So yeah, amazing story and very inspiring to people in prison. But you also mentioned Loop, I think, as the coding camp. Could you tell us how you learned about Code Loop and what pathway you took to qualify to learn coding?
That's a crazy story too. So it's called Unloop. So I was at the Monroe Correctional Facility in Washington, and they brought these laptops in. I was taking some college classes at the time, but I was really interested in seeing how I could use a laptop while I was in prison. That was almost unheard of until that point. So they said, "Oh yeah, you have to take this computer class." So I signed up for it. It was an advanced class with about I think 15, only a limited seats of like 15 people. So I signed up for it thinking like, there's no way I'm going to get into it, but it'd be awesome if I can, especially because it's an advanced course and I don't have no experience. But I got accepted into it. And I remember walking into the first class, and my God, like all of the letters on the board, they had a projector up there. It looked like a foreign language, like something I would never understand. And it was written in English, but just in a weird way. So I was like, man, I'm never going to figure this stuff out. But ultimately, it was the tutors. The tutors were incarcerated individuals, and they just told me like, hey, don't give up. Like, we're going to help you through this. And I'm really thankful for those people just sticking through me, giving me the courage to move forward. But yeah, so
was that a paid? Did you have to pay to go to Unloop, or did they accept? Did they pay you to go through it?
No, so it was inside of the prison. So they have inside prison.
Oh, this was
program.
in prison.
Yeah, this was in prison. This is when I first learned about coding. So this was probably 3 years before I was released. So anyway, so I go through this advanced course. It looks like I'm never going to figure this out. They have tutors that are just like continuing to kind of encourage me. And then they tell me, they're like, hey, I want you to know that there's a program coming into the prison called Unloop. And Unloop was going to teach you basic computer fundamentals and web development from no experience. So I was just like, oh, this is perfect. This advanced course is way too much for me, obviously. But I could probably, go into this Unloop course. And, they didn't charge anything. It was a nonprofit organization that was coming in to the prison, and they had you fill out, a questionnaire to see if you're a good candidate. And then ended up getting chosen for the program. And that's where ultimately I learned how to code without, Google, without the power of the internet, but just, books and resources that we had available in the prison to make it work. If you could try to think this in your mind, we're literally just grabbing books. We only had a certain amount of time that we could be on the computer. So a lot of the times we're inside of our rooms or inside of our cells and, writing out code by hand to make sure that we're making the most use of our time while we're in the classroom. So it's a different way of learning, but at the end of the day, I think it made me more resilient.
Yeah, well, I want to emphasize what you just described, because people in jail and prison sometimes, as you know, they kind of miss the nuances of what somebody is saying, the little tiny steps, because it's little incremental steps. And I'm going to ask you just a couple of basic questions. How many people were incarcerated at the correctional facility where you were serving your time?
Probably like 800 individuals.
So 800 people, and how many spots were available in that class?
15.
Okay, so you had to separate yourself from those 800 to be one of those 15, and that's why it's so important for people to realize that typically to qualify for those selective spots, you kind of have to build a record of being disciplinary-free conduct. You have to have already earned your GED. You have to show a pattern of participating in programs, because they don't want to fill a seat with somebody who's later going to drop off. You want to show this pattern, and that's the same thing that happens when a guy comes home. You want to be able to tell a story, and that story should advance you as a great candidate, and we can see how it changed in Victor's life and opened opportunities. How long were you going through this coding school before you got out of prison?
The last about 2.5 years of incarceration.
And you got out what year?
2019.
19. And then when you got out in 19, is that when you started with Code for America, or did you continue with Unloop?
Yeah, so they had a reentry boot camp that I attended when I first got out for about 6 months. And then I went into the internship with the tech consulting company after that, and then made my way to Code for America.
And could you help people, because people in prison sometimes have an unrealistic expectation of how much they are going to earn. you really prepared yourself well. What were the different earning levels that you experienced in coming back to society in 2019 at the different jobs? When you first started earning an income, how much was it?
Yeah, so when I first got out, well, while I was incarcerated, I was making 42 cents an hour, so anything beats that. But my first job at My Pizza, I think I was making $16 an hour plus some overtime. At the internship, I ended up making $25 an hour, so that was a huge jump from 15. And then at the end of it, or at Code for America, I was making about $37 an hour, so that was even a bigger jump. And now at Emilio, which I'm going to be starting next week, I'm going to be making $80,000 a year. So I think it breaks down to like 40 something an hour, plus the work that I'm pulling in at Victory Code. So definitely in a good position.
Yeah, that's really so inspiring, I think, for people who are in jail or prison, that some people live with these fantasies thinking they're going to make, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year the day they come home. And then some people think that they can never find anything. But the reality, as I try to share with people in jail and prison, or lessons that I learned from leaders like you, is that if you sow good seeds, if you work really hard while you're incarcerated, opportunities open, and then you can kind of carve out your own path for success, just like Victor's doing. And you've been home now. This is your third year of liberty or fourth year?
It's about coming up on 2.5 years.
So you're in your third year. And
yeah.
What do you expect to accomplish over the next 5 years?
Well, I definitely want to continue to build out Victory Code. I didn't in my 5-year plan while I was incarcerated, Victory Code was going to come about, but that happened a lot sooner. So that's definitely awesome. But yeah, definitely, I have a kid on the way coming up in October. So that's something that's going to be taking a part of my life, and a whole bunch of new experiences there. So looking forward to that opportunity. Definitely want to get into a house. I've been staying in an apartment with the family on the way, and definitely want to move into something bigger. So these are, some goals that I want to reach over the next 5 years.
Well, I'm really proud that to know somebody who's in prison, who was in prison and came back and has been such a great model. I look forward to publishing this on all of my social media networks, but also, more importantly, distributing it to millions of people in jails and prisons across America, because I think that people can look at a guy like you and say, wow, that can be me, provided I make the right decisions. Maybe you have some other guidance or advice you might offer, something that you would have liked to have heard while you were, in the midst of a 10-year sentence in state prison.
Yeah, I think one of the things that kind of resonate with me, Will, is, be ready to hear the no's. There are a lot of no's. A lot of people are going to tell you no. Ultimately, especially when searching for a job. I remember going through my last job search phase and getting over 40, maybe 50 rejections of just no's. And these are, 3 or 4 round interviews per company. So it gets to wear on you. But at the end of the day, you have to have perseverance. Don't let no be the answer. Keep continuing to fight and continuing to learn. Take every experience as a learning opportunity. I don't consider it to be a fail. My acronym for fail is first attempt in learning. This is a learning phase that we're going through. And I think that you're able to learn from each of these experiences and become a better person at the end of the day. So, let that no be a powerful no. Let it change your life and let it inspire change.
And not only that, if a person learns to think that way, you're really living as if you're the CEO of your life. You're looking at society, you're looking at problems, you're anticipating them. But now, while you're in prison, as he said, first attempt in learning, fail, now is the time to be developing skills. You may not be able to go out and get a coding job right now, but you could listen to what Victor did. He would use his time really effectively. While he wasn't around a computer, he'd be writing out code, and then so he could be most effective when he's at the computer. That was the same strategy that powered me through 26 years in prison. And it made all the difference in building the career when I came home. It taught me how to be an entrepreneur. It taught me how to create my own opportunities. And Victor, I know that you're a bit of an entrepreneur yourself. We didn't talk about it, but could you tell us about the academic coding course that you created?
Yeah, so it really inspired me. Like I said, I had a 5-year plan of getting Victory Code off the ground. It's going to be a tech consulting organization for system impacted individuals. So we support them into the tech industry through our networks, and we also offer coding boot camps for people that have no coding experience. I know how much of an impact it had on me, especially for the people that are coming behind us. I feel like we could get into the tech industry with our criminal backgrounds and make a livable wage. So really thankful for that, but ultimately thought that I was made to give back to the people that are coming behind me. That's where I find my purpose. That's what gives me a motivation every day to get up and do the things I love to do. So
that business that you started, is that an LLC that you are the sole founder of, and you're getting your own leads and your own clients?
Yeah, so it's actually a sole proprietorship that I started, so I am getting my own contracts. I did sign 2 contracts within the last month, which is pretty exciting. I'm going to be offering a coding boot camp for youth. I started that last Thursday. And next week, I'll be starting a digital literacy course where I teach people, basics from email, from a digital calendar, Google Docs, Google Sheets, some of the things that we're going to be utilizing in the community. I think oftentimes society has this expectation of us to kind of just learn it on our own. But I want to support individuals because I know how much of a helping hand that can offer somebody that's coming out back into society.
How do people pay you for this service? Do you sell to institutions or agencies, or do you sell to individual clients?
Yeah, so my current pricing model is through organizations. So I typically reach out to your organization to see if you want to offer digital literacy courses or coding boot camps to your clients, and then that way your clients could receive the program for free. And ultimately, that's who we want to kind of build this digital equity with. So we want to make it as easily accessible for them as possible.
And do the programs that you create, are they like evergreen, like you create a video and give an example, and here's a 10-minute course on Excel, and then there's, is that the way you've created it?
Yeah. So we'll typically have, a slide deck that we kind of work through. I'll give some screen time and kind of show them how to navigate the platforms, and then they'll have some action items that they have to accomplish during the class. We'll go through some more content, and then they'll have, an end task where it's like, okay, take everything that you learned today and apply it. So we think that this is going to be a really great learning model to kind of build digital equity in this space, because, like I said, oftentimes, formerly incarcerated individuals are just kind of either expected to learn it on their own or expected to know it already.
I know that when I went to prison, there was no internet, no email, no cell phone, no videos. And when I came home, my wife gave me one of these things here, and I like it to tell the story because she gave it to me. And I said, this is broken. There's no dial tone. I just didn't understand. I'd never sent an email or anything, and I had to learn everything on my own. And I know how important the service that you're providing is to people. It can make the difference between somebody qualifying for a minimum wage job and somebody being homeless. It can make the difference between somebody getting onto a job and being able to create a spreadsheet or a PowerPoint slideshow or anything else, and suddenly they're worth $100,000 a year because of the value they can provide, and they can do it working from home. So this is an awesome skill. I really wish you success in building this business. I'd love to put a link to the name of your website. Do you have a website for this business?
Yes, I do.
What's it called?
I'm a website builder, so it's called victorycode.co.
Spell it?
Victory Code, VICTORY CODE.co.
So I'm going to edit a little link at the end of this video so that you can see his website and what it offers. But more importantly, I hope that what you're seeing is the importance of making sure that you're using every day in jail and prison to prepare for a life of meaning and relevance and dignity and success. Develop skills, and you will be in a better position to walk your way into the types of programs that really transformed Victor's life, transformed my life, and that's why we believe in them so much. Victor, I really want to thank you for validating the programs that our team works to create. And I just want to applaud you on the enormous success that you've achieved. You're a great testament to resilience, and you're a beacon of hope for many people in jail and prison across America.
Thank you, Michael, and likewise. Like I said, ultimately, I attribute a lot of my success to you and programs like yours that help me influence and succeed.
We'll do the best that we can to keep being the change we want to see in the world, and your story is going to help us do that. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hey, I wanted to do a little bit more and show you the Victory Code course that he was talking about in the video. So this is his website. It's not really a complicated website. It just shows customers what he offers. He talks about himself. You see, he doesn't hide from being in prison. Right there, Tech Consulting Services to Impacted Individuals. He spent over a decade in prison. So see, this is a strength. It's not a weakness. He shows the different products that he offers. And we could also show very simply how do they contact him. And I just think that's pretty cool stuff for anybody in jail or prison to be seeing. You can build if you face an unfriendly job market, make sure that you follow Victor's guide and learn how to create your own leads and your own sales, and you can be successful.